Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Matthew Combs, creator of the Runes of EDE expandable card game. I know that there's been a lot of updates recently about platforms in which the game is available to play, and Tabletop Simulator is one of them. So today I wanted to do a video based around what the game looks like on Tabletop Simulator and really dive into how you can not only just start with the beginning decks that are there, the pre-con decks for the Savages, Mystics, Marvels, and Intellects, but if you wanted to build your deck of your own, how you would do that and how deck construction works. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. So here's our game board here, which I'm very happy with the way that everything turned out. We have, of course, all the different piles that the game needs, and then as you can see here, we have all the decks laid out, each with just text above them letting you know when you get into the Tabletop Simulator about what level the deck is. So for instance, if this is your first time playing the game and learning the game, if you watched our Learn to Play video, you've read the rulebook, etc., you're still going to want to probably start off with the Savages faction, just because they're the most aggressive faction and really relies upon you trying to reduce your opponent's life total as quickly as possible by breaking runes from their stockpile before they have a chance to recover. So, and all it really asks of you is that you turn your unit sideways, deal damage, and then stop your opponent from blocking you. So that's that whole deck. And then, Marvels are a step further from that because they rely on trying to get to the middle to later parts of the game through either ramping or solid removal effects, and then building up bigger guys throughout the game to take over the board. And then you start to get into the more advanced gameplay when it comes to the Mystics, where the Mystics are all about assembling pieces of an engine and trying to get that engine online to where you can take over the game, whether it be through the, managing the battlefield or managing the size of your opponent's hand. And then expert level, we have Intellects, which they truly rely on trying to outsmart the opposing player through using quick events, quick units, and trying to swarm the board and keep the opponent's threats exhausted so they can't block, so they can deal those last points of damage. Definitely a more controlling, more tempo-oriented strategy. But today, like I said, I wanted to dive into just the deck building aspects of Runes of EDE. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of my favorite types of builds, which is a multi-faction archetype, and we're going to be building Mystics and Savages. So first thing you do, over here, I just have a stack of all the cards in the game. And so from here, you can just do a search, and it shows every single card that exists in the game itself. When you're building a deck in Runes of EDE, you have to have your archive, which has your units of end cards, etc. But it's really important to make sure that your stockpile can support all of the cards that you're playing. And we do have some fixing in the game itself, which means you can, change your runes in your resource area into different colored runes to make it easier for you. But let's just dive into trying to create a stockpile for ourselves. And to do that, we need to think about the units that we're going to play throughout the game. And so when you think about Mystics and Savages, you have a lot of really good low-cost units. And so, for instance, we're just going to start pulling some cards out here. So we're going to pull out Wisp, who has Reaper. Then we're going to pull out Shad, probably one of the best cards in the game, since he searches for a copy of himself or places himself on play, which is a really powerful ability in this game. Red, Savage 1-drops when it comes to look at. A card that I always love to keep in the back of my mind is 10 Skilled Duelist. Major reason why is because when she comes down, you can stop your opponent from blocking with anything cost 4 or more. And you can also construct your deck in a way to where that ability doesn't impact you, because it impacts both players. So we're going to start with those for our 1s. For our 2s, I think the first thing we need to keep in mind is that we need the ability to cast all of our cards. And so Shad Joiner of Forces is the card that lets us do that, because on play you can return a rune you control to your stockpile, and then search your stockpile for any rune and put it into play exhausted, then shuffle your stockpile. So let's say turn 1, we open a Savage rune. Turn 2, we open a Mystic rune. We want to change that, we can. Or let's say it's turn 3 and we have 2 Mystic runes, 1 Savage rune, and we really want a second Savage rune, we can alter that as well. Another 2-drop, we'll probably play Van, one with the Ether. I really like playing cards that have in the top left-hand corner lower specified costs, especially as we're playing multi-faction strategies, because it makes it easier so that like on turn 2, you're going to be able to play one of these cards to a pretty high success. The only caveat to that is that this specific build of the deck, I really like to run some Mara the Untames, which that's why the reason why we need so much fixing is because this is a double red card, but we're really playing it as a way to finish the game off, not necessarily as a way to play something on turn 2. Because Mara can attack the turn that she's placed, and she has rage, and she has critical, which means that she deals 2 damage instead of 1, which is just, it's a really powerful effect in this game. When we look at our 3-cost units, we of course have to play Veda, the Unnatural, probably the best 3-cost card in the game. I also like, again, same reasoning as the others, is Vera, Malicious Impact. Not only does she have critical, but when she attacks and breaks a rune, if you don't want to deal damage, you can instead actually choose to flip your opponent's non-basic runes to their backside, which is kind of interesting because it's almost a way to mess up your opponent's colors that they have in the resource area, because once a rune is flipped, it's essentially a colorless rock. It's a colorless rune, so it doesn't generate specified colors anymore. So that's something to keep in mind. And then removed, which means removed from play for any reason, you can discard your hand and then draw 3 cards. So if you have 0, you can just discard 0 and then draw 3 cards. This pairs really well with Van 6, which of course we're going to be playing as well. Savage 3-drops. One I like to play in this kind of build is Dak, Overpowering Rage. Major reason why. He is 2 specified Savage runes, but he's just a really good attacker since he has Overwhelm, which means that if it's not fully blocked, you still deal damage to the opponents. You still break a rune from their stockpile. And then on play, you can pay 1 to have him gain plus 1,000 power and rage until end of the turn. So he's almost like your 4-cost play, which is really sweet. So this can be a 3 or a 4 depending on the way that your runes are shaping up in your resource area. From here, I do know that I want to play Van Technique Mastered. 100%. Card's incredible. So on play, we destroy target unit, and then action, revive target unit. That unit gains rage until end of the turn. And at the start of this turn's end phase, you can exile that unit unless you put the top 2 runes of your stockpile into your damage pile face down. So you will deal damage to yourself, and you won't get the effect of like broken runes, but you get to keep that threat in play, or you can just do that one-time revive and then exile at the end of the turn. So Van, of course, is a slam dunk. It's going to be easy for us to play, of course, in this deck. Let's take a look at event cards. So we definitely want 3 Abrupt End, which is just a quick event. Put a minus 1,000 power counter to our unit. So we're going to play some of those. One thing about playing this color combination too is that you get probably the 2 most efficient ways of interacting with your opponent's units in their event cards. So we have Abrupt End, and then we have Savage Slice, which we're going to play as well. Which Savage Slice isn't quick, but it's still just really powerful. Then, any other events? Yeah, we definitely need to play Rune Shift. So Rune Shift is probably one of the most important cards in the game that gets slept on a lot. It just allows you to return a rune you control your stockpile and then search your stockpile for any rune and put it into play, then shuffle your stockpile. So similar effect to Shad Joiner of Forces, but you don't have to put that rune into play exhausted. So you essentially get that 1 rune back to be able to use for the turn, which is really powerful, especially in a deck that's playing a lot of 1-cost cards or low-cost cards in general. And then Way of the Mystics is just a really good card because each player has to destroy a unit they control. So if your opponent's board is, down to 1 unit, you're just going to, destroy the highest costed thing they have, which is really powerful. And then just has some upside. If the unit you destroyed had the highest power among units destroyed this way, draw a card. So just a way to replace itself. And then let's get to work on cloning some cards. So we're going to play 3 Abrupt Ends, 3 Savage Slices, 2 Rune Shift. We're going to play our 3 Shad Mystic Defender. Again, such a good card just because you get to search your archive, which is just a really powerful effect, and it gives you a shuffle. Let's see where we're getting that now. And that's one thing to keep in mind too. You can only play 3 copies of a given unit. So that's one thing, just as you're building your decks, you need to make sure that you're not forgetting that rule. I know if you try to use the platform of untap it puts everything in as a 4 of, which just isn't it's not the case. In this game, everything is a 3 of at max, unless otherwise stated. So we're at 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 7, 30, 39, 40. Do the math right. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 7, 38, 39, 40. So we're at 40 cards, which is the minimum for deck building in the Runes of EDE expandable card game. And so we have our main deck construction here, our archive construction. And so next thing you want to do is kind of think about the base that you want to have, right? So as you can see, we only have 2 cards that require 2 Savage Runes. So we do want to make sure that we have, and plus we have fixing, which is great. But we want to make sure that we can support our Savage cards, and then at the same time support all of the Mystic stuff, because I think the highest we go is 3. So when building your base for that, let's pull out some basics. And building your stockpile is probably one of the coolest things, because you get to mix and match the ancient runes, right? And that's probably the thing that people are going to be the most into when they're building decks. And so for us, the rune that I'm really interested in for the savages is the Ancient Rune of Determination, which you pay 3, or if it's broken, you get to choose a unit, and the chosen unit can't be blocked by units with higher power until your next in phase. So that just helps us play into that aggressive strategy. So we're going to play that one for sure. And now the Mystics have some really strong ones, right? We have the Ancient Rune of Pestilence, which flip this rune face down and choose an enemy unit. The chosen unit loses minus 1,000 power for each unit with cost 1 or less in your discard pile until end of the turn. And as you can see, we have a lot of 1-cost units. We have 9. So we're going to get the maximum value out of that card. And this card is really messed up when you think about the synergy that it has with Shad, joining our forces, and Rune Shift, being able to kind of recycle it. So it keeps your opponent's board clear. And so the last ones, we definitely want Ancient Rune of Permanence. This one lets you restore a unit with cost 2 or less, and we have a lot of these, whether it be Shad, Van, or Mara, or Shad 1, Wisp, Valiant Mystic, or 10 Skilled Duelist. Let's just recycle 10. And then I really like this. We don't need to play a lot of this card in our stockpile since we can search for it. And this lets us essentially get a 1-cost unit back into play by exiling 3 cards from our discard pile. And it just gives us discard pile hates, where we can exile things from our opponent's discard pile. So we're going to do, this one's so good. So we're going to clone this one. We're going to do 3 copies of this one. We're going to do 3 copies of this one. We're going to do, because these are both similar effects, if this one's restore as opposed to clone. Actually, I don't need to clone that one. So delete that. And then we have, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So those are our 9 ancient runes. And the breakdown was 6 mystics, 3 savage runes. I think the most we'll need is probably 7. So what is this? 3, that's 9. So clone. Clone this. And that takes us our numbers to 1, 2, 3. So we have 3, 7 savage runes, and then we're going to be playing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 5. We're going to be playing 11 mystic runes. So likelihood is that we're going to be able to play the game whichever draw we end up having. We're going to be able to have either something on turn 1 a high percentage of the time, or even if we have to wait until turn 2 to Rune Shift or Shad join our forces to fix our field or fix our resource area, then that's not a problem either. But seems like everything is good here. So once you do that, we just get, at that point, just get to put all the cards back together. Make a flip. Make a shuffle. Look at that. And then, of course, it will get much easier as you start to familiarize yourself with the setup, with the controls on Tabletop Simulator. I am still myself, as you can see, learning all that. I'm pretty certain there's probably a giant way, like an easy way to just group all these things and put them all in one stack. But I am a glutton for punishment. But yeah, as you can see, if you just use the all cards that are sitting there, you can make clones, make copies of the cards, and then that makes it easier for you to just go ahead and put your decks together. And so that way, if you decide that you want to build your own custom decks for whenever you're playing this game, or you want to try out, multi-faction archives and stockpiles, you get to tinker around with that, learn those ratios, and then you'll learn the true power of RuneShift for sure. But you'll definitely start to enjoy the game even more so. The game already plays really, really well. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely more simplified now with the 3 steps for a turn, which is your startup, your action phase, and your end phase. And then all the cards feel really unique, powerful, but at the same time pretty familiar. So once you're done with creating your deck, all you have to do, you go ahead and flip this bad boy over, move that to your stockpile, flip this over, move to your archive, shuffle this, and then you're good to go. But anyway, that's it. Hopefully you had a decent time sitting through this video and it wasn't anything that was too painstakingly difficult. But that is a look at how you can build a deck in Runes of Ede using multiple factions. Savages and Mystics is probably one of my favorite color combinations because you have really good low cost units, you have really good removal for opposing units, and you get to play this really cool aggressive strategy that just really enjoys messing with your opponent's cards. And so I really enjoy it. And if you get a chance to try out some other color combinations, make sure you do so. And if you have any questions, be sure to reach out via the Discord, and you can check out our website as well for all the rules and updated information. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.